The following program is intended for mature audiences.
A democratic republic of sports. The Sportsocracy with ESPN Asheville hosts Tank Spencer and Jeremy Greene.
And welcome back into the Sportsocracy. I'm Tank Spencer, Jeremy Greene's alongside. We are in the Ingalls studio, and welcome into the happy hour. It's a Top 13 Tuesday, where Flowstradamus will impart upon us another class of 13 gentlemen who are ready to set the NFL world on fire. And the tight end whisperer himself.
Wow, winning.
It's time to talk tight ends of the 2022 NFL draft class. First off, Matthew Hoffman, we got to say, good luck, buddy. He's going out to Cherokee tomorrow to try to win himself a circuit event, the World Series of Poker Tour. So good luck to you. I hope you can bring home that bracelet.
I am disgustingly bad at poker, so I will be rooting for you.
Disgustingly bad.
I am god awful.
The only time we've ever
bet you under the table, sports wise.
Yeah,
by God, if I ever want to set money on fire, I will put it on a friggin' poker table.
The only time we ever sat down and played poker with each other, I think you were. I mean, it was pretty early in the night. You were like, "All right, guys, I'm going. I busted out. I'll see y'all later."
Oh yeah. Well, see, here's the thing. Two of three things always happen when I play poker. One, I end up pitifully intoxicated. Without any of my monies in my hand, and I usually don't win that many hands because I like to. I don't have a great poker face.
Right.
It's hey, I'm gonna put in all my chips. I have a 2 and a 7. No,
don't do that.
I have 2 kings, so everybody goes just screw that. Then I get impatient. I'm like now I have to go in on 7-10.
Mm-hmm. I'm just a lay-and-wait kind of guy. Just lay and wait, fold pre-flop when you don't have chips on the table. Just wait your turn. It's a session. You gotta. I'm a grinder. Curtis Davis says, "Hey Jeremy, heard any news about Deshaun Watson? Because for some reason I can't get him out of get him being the new quarterback of the Commies out of my mind."
Yeah, I have heard information on him. Houston wants 7 assets, including 3 first-round picks.
That's a lot.
They still want that, which is insane to me. I mean, I understand wanting that. Do you really want to do this for another year? Because until the legal's off the board, nobody's giving up that much.
Right.
I mean, conditional, maybe, just because the quarterback market's so bad. But I don't. I mean, there was a report last week that he was looking at the Vikings and the Bucks.
Mm-hmm.
That would be like your dipshit buddy that works at Home Depot saying, "Well, I'm looking at Eva Mendes and Eva Longoria." Well, then I guess you're going to play with yourself for a while. Because that's not going to happen.
Right. No, I mean, the latest thing there is, of course, Deshaun Watson. The judge said he can be deposed in 9 of the civil cases that are going on. Rusty Harden, his lawyer, says, well, he's just going to plead the 5th because we don't know if there's criminal charges coming. And that's not going to happen until, April 1st, I think? He's like, there's no way that you would offer up your client who might have criminal charges pending against them to have them be deposed in a civil lawsuit. That's not going to happen. So he's going to plead the 5th if that all does happen before the April 1st thing comes out. And that's the deadline now. Now the goal to look for the Deshaun Watson thing is April 1st. Are there going to be charges filed? Are there not going to be charges filed? And then we can move on from there. But until then, he still continues to be the most untouchable asset in the NFL. Other than that.
At least as long as they want that much.
Right. Oh, yeah, absolutely. So anyway, all right, you ready? You ready to get into the top 13 tight ends?
Well, let's talk about the first, the ones that just barely missed the cut.
Okay.
Lucas Krull out of Pittsburgh. He's big.
Krull?
Yeah.
Okay.
He's big, and he's got decent enough hands. He's about as. I think he will run well, but he's so raw, and there's so many things to ding him on. John Fitzpatrick from Georgia. Yeah, he's a giant, but I've never seen him do anything. He was always hey, look at that gigantic human in the huddle. Ball didn't go his way. Hot. Right. Daniel Bellinger is another one from San Diego State. He's just really raw. Those are guys that'll go 7th round, undrafted free agent. I don't see the upside in them that I see in the 13 that will be on this list. Okay. And I will be honest with you, before my week off, 13 was a different player. It was the same player I just said. It was Daniel Bellinger until my week off, and I found some new little goodies.
Okay. All right, well, let's see what Jeremy has unearthed on his mini vacation here.
I'm thoroughly looking forward to seeing you try to pronounce this first guy's name.
Top 13 tight ends in the 2022 NFL Draft, as chosen by Flowstradamus. Oh, look at that. Chigoziem Okonkwo.
Okay. I'm not even going to attempt to say his first name.
Chigoziem?
I have no idea how to say his first name.
Chigoziem.
I did not check it against the pronunciation guide. Right. I do know his last name is Okonkwo.
Okonkwo out of Maryland. Tell us about him.
This kid is getting unbelievable amounts of steam. The team I know definitively likes this kid is the Dallas Cowboys. 6'2", 240, incredibly laterally agile. There are not, to me, he strikes me as the H-back in Miami or somewhere like that, because I think he's a good enough blocker. He's not great, but he's good enough, and there's enough raw potential here. The thing you also have to remember, I've never thought much of Mike Locksley as a coach, but he's a great recruiter. There's a lot of raw talent in this kid, and teams are losing their shit about him. If I had $1 for every time I've had this name said to me, now I've never had said to me or I would know how to pronounce it, but texted to me, there's a lot to like with this kid. He's got really good hands. There's just a lot of raw ability. I think he's going to go somewhere. I had him as a priority free agent before all of this. Now I think he could slide all the way up into the probably 5th round just because teams are losing it over him. And there's always one of these guys. There's one of these guys at every single position. And I do believe at tight end, he will be the one that maybe he's overdrafted, but you got to think about with tight ends, how many basketball players have we seen NFL teams go, we can make something out of him? Okonkwo's not as tall, but he is ridiculously agile for how thick he is. I see him as an H-back. Kind of reminds me of Tommy Tremble from last year, a guy that I slowly fell in love with because I didn't really know his position.
Right.
But in the right offense, I think he could be a contributor down the line.
And you can follow him at Chig Tweets, on the Twitter machine. It is Chigoziem Okonkwo.
I know his last name.
Yep, that is according to the official pronunciation guide from the University of Maryland.
Do not follow how I pronounce people's names because I do not listen to commentary ever. It is pronounced as it is spelled.
Yep. So Chigoziem Okonkwo, tight end out of Maryland, is number 13 on the top tight ends list here in the 2022 NFL Draft. At number 12,
hottest name in the tight end of all the tight ends. He's the hottest name from where he started to where he is now.
Number 12 is Derek Deese Jr., San Jose State. Dad played in the league.
Yeah, there's a lot of raw with him that I just can't. I never really saw it. I am not as high on him as others are. I think there's a lot of good raw. I think he's got good soft hands. He's a good enough blocker. The only problem that I have with Derek Deese is that I constantly say good enough. Like everything he does, he's good enough. The thing he did better than most tight ends at San Jose State was stretch the field. Well, the only problem is he's a 4'8" guy. He's a 4'8", 6'4", 240-pound tight end. You're not going to be faster than safeties in the league. You're not that much bigger, and you're not physical enough to deal with really physical linebackers in this league. He's a project. He's the ultimate project. Mm-hmm. But I do think if you kid glove him enough, he will be fine. My fear is that I keep seeing him creep up into the top 5, and to me that is absolutely insane. I do not see how anybody has him ahead of the 5 best tight ends of this class. I don't get it. And I don't say it very often, especially in this class because there's so many different grades. I've seen Derek Deese Jr. as high as 3 on tight end boards, and that is mind-boggling to me. Mm-hmm. I mean, I'm hearing him in the back of the second day.
But
that's not somebody that you can be patient with.
Yeah, but this is what you get. You have been talking about with this draft class. Is there are so many varying views on all of these guys.
And this is one that there are a wide. I have him in the 5th round.
Yeah.
I think he is a developmental, back into the 5th, beginning of the 6th level tight end that can come in and be a bit of an offensive weapon to begin with. And if you really work with him, he can ultimately be a good enough blocker. He's going to have to gain weight, and my fear is that he's going to run a 4.8 at the combine.
Okay.
I just see no way around that.
Right.
Lower level of competition, I think that's going to catch up to him, and my fear is that he's one of the guys in this draft class that's overdrafted, and you end up seeing him bounce around until a team is willing to put the work in because he's not as ready-made as some of these other tight ends in this class.
All right, let's talk about number 11 on the list, Jelani Woods out of Virginia.
Oh, this kid makes me feel warm and fuzzy.
Why?
He has had a really – so he played in the postseason bowl, and he had a great week. My original take on him was that I felt like he was very beholden to how good his quarterback was. I think very highly of Brennan Armstrong as a college quarterback. I don't think he's an NFL quarterback by any stretch.
Right.
But I felt like when I first watched Jelani Woods that a lot of the good that I saw of him was because of the quarterback and because he's a freaking monster. He's 6'7", 260. And by the way, he's going to run as fast as Derek Dees.
Yeah.
That's where I'm looking at Derek Dees going, how in the fuck am I supposed to have you ahead of him? Now, his hands, let me be nice here and say they leave a lot to be desired.
So he's better at throwing the football than he is at catching the football. Because this guy was recruited as a quarterback.
Yes, he was.
To Oklahoma, by the way.
Yeah, there are flashes with Jelani Woods that were really, really good. The problem is that one of the, and I can't remember who this was against. I mean, he did everything right. Everything. It was a double move. It was beautiful. Behind the defense, and he dropped it.
Oh.
And this was one of those god-awful bad drops, too, where you're just 10 yards behind everybody.
Right.
And I can't get that out of my brain. But then he went to, and I can't, now I'm blanking on what bowl game it was. There's so many damn preseason or postseason bowls now that I can't keep them straight. He was at the
Alamo
Shrine Bowl.
Oh, the
He was
Shrine
at the
Bowl.
East West Shrine Bowl.
Okay.
And he had a great week. That one doesn't get the same level of coverage because you don't get the same level of competition there. That being said, he was very good. I think he cemented himself as draftable. To me, he's in that same Derek Deese kind of – I look at them very similarly. The difference is that I think Jelani Woods has more ability to come and play right away because he's so much bigger. He's going to be a matchup nightmare no matter what he does. So he can circumvent the fact that he's only going to run in the 4.8s because he's just a gigantic human. You put a safety on him, he'll pick on safeties. He's not going to outrun him, but he's so much bigger. To me, he strikes me as a second tight end coming in one of these more spread type of offenses. It was somewhat similar to what he ran at Virginia. Virginia was very fast-paced and scored a shitload of points. He strikes me as a guy that could go to an Arizona, a Kansas City, and be a second tight. Max Williams. That's what I see his role being early on.
Okay.
Being the big move tight end on the other side of an entrenched starter. Not a great blocker, but I think he could be in time.
Okay. At number 10, Grant Calcaterra from SMU. This is a kid that transferred over from Oklahoma. And, you know, he had a hell of a quarterback this past year.
He did. And I may have a bit of a soft spot for him.
Okay.
Because he has just the greatest mullet mustache combo that you will ever see. He looks like ravishing Rick Rude. And
nice.
The only problem is he's about as athletic as a wet fart. Speed, he's fine. The only problem is he's 6'5", 240. He's not a good blocker. Yeah, he's fast. He's another one that's very scheme specific. I see just a little bit of Mark Andrews in him. Just a little bit. Really needs to learn to run a route. Played in a very gimmicky offense at SMU. I feel like the learning curve in the NFL is going to be pretty staunch for him, but there's so much raw to like. This is a kid that 10 years ago, there's no shot in hell he'd have been drafted. None. And one of the things you have to remember about tight ends, there's probably not a position in the NFL that's harder to learn coming from the NFL, coming from college to the NFL than tight end. Grant Calcaterra is a guy that I look at as a fifth-ish round pick that ideally he's not even active for the first half of the year. I want him to be in one of those spready-ass offenses, and I promise you I'm not going to say that about every tight end.
Right.
I like tight ends that can catch.
But you want to see him like in Arizona?
Arizona would be good. I think he's such a liability as a blocker that he needs to be with somebody that is a plus blocker. I'm trying to think of one off the top of my head. Somebody that really blocks well. Kittle. Mm-hmm. San Francisco. Mm-hmm. You put him in San Francisco, and I could see him being conducive because now you got Kittle that can set up the wham block and delays and all kinds of other shit. And all this kid has to be is fast, and he's straight line fast. When I said he's as athletic as a wet fart, people will look at that and go, well, he's going to do really well at the combine. Yeah, but he's going to blow at the three-cone, the shuttle. The agility is not there. Mm-hmm. He's straight line fast. He can be a bit of a matchup headache because he is fast enough to – he's not going to consistently outrun safeties, but he can run with them. And I think if you put the time in with him down the line, he could be a good second tight end. I don't think he's ever a starter in the NFL. Right. And I only feel – and I love this class.
Could be like a 20-catch-a-year guy.
No, I could see it being more than that.
Okay.
But in very specific kinds of offenses. I think he's a guy that you can play him as a move tight end. He gets to be a little bit of a headache, and I do like this kid, and not just because of his sweet mullet and his sweet mustache.
Okay,
he does have a sweet 70s porn star mustache.
At number 9 on the top 13 tight ends list for the 2022 NFL Draft, you've got Cole Turner out of Nevada, another kid who had the benefit of having a good quarterback behind him.
He did, and the learning curve for him is going to be
steep.
It's going to be steep, and I feel this way about everybody coming out of Nevada. But now here's what I will say. The raw on him is unfreaking believable. He's big. 6'6", 250, 255, somewhere in there.
Okay.
Not crazy fast, but he's what I said earlier about good enough. He's good enough to really good at damn near everything. He's got good hands, not great. He's a good medium to deep threat kind of tight end, not great. Doesn't really do the intermediate things well. And he's a good-ish blocker. The only thing is in that offense is how much of it's set up. You have to be really careful with these gimmicky-ass college offenses because a lot of times a tight end will look like a better blocker than they are. And I feel like I see that on tape with him because he's set up to succeed. All right, in the run game. You pre-snap motion, they're terrified of him because their safety's 5'10". You don't really run into that in the NFL. I can't get away from him winding up with Green Bay. He strikes me as the kind of guy that you put on the other side of Mercedes Lewis, and he's just going to be Robert Tonyan too.
Okay.
And could do it quick too. But now you put him in Miami because I do think they're going to lose Mike Gesicki. I don't like that as much. With the Jets, where they need him to play immediately. I don't like that. I want you to be with a really good quarterback that can just use what you are, your raw tools, and develop you over time. But I like this kid a lot.
All right. Before we get into
also has a sweet head of lettuce. This is a really good hair class. The tight end, probably not a position in the NFL draft that has better hair than the tight end.
Sweet head of lettuce.
Yeah, kid's got a. It's not quite a mullet. It's long and it's impressive.
I gotta be honest with you. I think that's the first time I've ever heard that one. Sweet head of lettuce.
A kid said that to me. About my hair.
Oh, that you have a sweet head of lettuce?
Yeah, and now it's become like one of my favorite phrases in the world.
I will say this. My wife and I, went to the Burt Kreischer performance. I guess it's not really a concert when it's stand-up comedy, but we went to the performance at the Thomas Wolfe Auditorium on Friday. She asked, have you seen Jeremy and Amy yet? And I was like, no. And about 5 seconds later, all she saw coming down the aisle was Mullet. And she was like, well, you can definitely tell he's in the building now.
He's a Leon.
I wanted to get to the comments here real quick because somebody asked, or Rob Johnson said, he saw a stupid post of Carson Wentz going to the Steelers and Jimmy G going to the Colts.
There's some heat to that Carson Wentz thing. There is some legitimate heat to Carson Wentz ending up in Pittsburgh.
Really?
Yeah, and the tell on that is apparently he wants to go to somewhere that's not as high pressure. Carson Wentz is kind of very few players have ever started as hot with me and wound up as cold.
But
I wouldn't touch Carson Wentz with a 10-foot pole.
But I don't feel like that would be a not high pressure place. Pittsburgh.
That's what I'm saying. That's why he's not in on this.
Right, like as a football's pretty important to Pittsburgh Steelers fans. It's pretty much pressure to win every year.
Again, that's why I said it, because he's not in on this.
Right.
Apparently, he wants to stay in Indianapolis. He's comfortable with Frank Wright. He doesn't want to go to Pittsburgh. But Pittsburgh is figuring out what I've been trying to tell people for quite some time. It's going to be really friggin' hard to find quarterbacks. And by the way, I have to cover this because I had about 40 people say, but the quarterback class next year is so much better. I want you to look dead in my eyes. No, the fuck it's not. No, it is not. I do not know who it is that you're seeing. C.J. Stroud and Bryce Young. Bryce Young is a good little feller. And C.J. Stroud, he reminds me a lot of the same quarterback that I absolutely just crushed in the previous draft process, Justin Fields.
But Phil Dracovic, you like him?
His injury history, and good Lord, he's a big plotting
guy.
Just good. I mean, I do like Phil Dracovic. Don't get me wrong. I like Boston College.
Right. I don't know. I can't
figure out what is it that you're looking at that. I mean, because there's people that are telling me there's 4 franchise quarterbacks in next year's draft. I don't see a franchise quarterback in next year's draft. So,
the 3 we already said, who would be another one?
To be honest with you, I don't even know. It's people commenting saying there's 3 franchise quarterbacks. I think one guy said 5.
Oh my gosh.
Like, good Lord, I don't know what you're looking at, but it is not what I'm seeing under any stretch of the imagination.
Yeah, I was just trying to pull up real quick to see who would even be on that list. Well, you get C.J. Stroud, Bryce Young, Anthony Richardson.
Stop.
Will Levis.
There are people that believe in him. I'm not one of them.
Phil Dracovic, Aiden O'Connell,
Will Levis is another one that some people
DJ.
really like.
I bet it's a DJ they're talking about.
Who in God's name would have watched DJ Uiagalelei last year and gone, yeah, I want that to be my quarterback?
I don't know, but there are still people that think that Spencer Rattler is going to lead the South Carolina Gamecocks to the national title. And it's
Spencer Rattler.
Tyler Shuck. Grant Gunnell.
Tyler Shuck I kind of get.
Keaton Slovis. Jaden Daniels. I mean, that's your next year's class.
Don't sleep on Jaden Daniels. I like Jaden. I've always had a soft spot for Jaden Daniels.
Stetson Bennett. The mailman. Moving on to the NFL.
JT Daniels.
It's going to be hot.
JT Daniels and Luke May. You ever seen them in the same room together at the same time? Nope. Eyebrows like that cannot be replicated.
They might be cousins. You never know.
Fuck. Cousins with a caveman.
Hey, now that is a May trademark, okay? You can't go against that.
You seen Drake? Drakes are not as aggressive. I mean, I'm not saying that they're not there. I'm just JT Daniels and Luke May look like they could be brothers.
Right. All right, let's get back into the list here. I think there was another question about Deshaun Watson, but it's not the price. It's not the price that is worrisome about Deshaun Watson.
Oh, no, it's the price.
No, they were talking about his contract, I think.
No, yeah, and all of that. If the legal shit went away, he would be out of Houston in a day.
Absolutely.
The only problem is it's not going to.
Right. Cade McNamara. Matthew Hoffman. No, I don't think he's a
I like him as a college
either.
quarterback.
You like him as a college quarterback? Okay. All right, let's get back into it here. The top 8 of the top 13 tight ends.
I'm so drunk on this first guy.
All right, give us the next 5. Number 8, Cade Otton from Washington.
Hey, you know how I've said that virtually every tight end that I've listed off so far is not a very good blocker?
Uh-huh.
Hey, found one that is.
Oh, finally.
The only problem is that the tape on him is very misleading because this team sucked. God, I've never seen a team that was this talented. I have like 9 draftable players from Washington. Now, 2 of them went back to school. But I've never seen a team that was this talented that was this bad.
Now, there's a reason Jimmy Lake ain't around no more.
Yeah. The knock on him is going to be, the production was never there. And I think it can be. 6'5", 250, not crazy athletic, but he's good enough. He's a good blocker to me. There are some people will say, he's not a great athlete. Well, here's the thing. You're not getting, there's very few Kyle Pittses in this world that are just freak athletes that play tight end.
Right.
I get so irritated with the way people evaluate tight ends. Cade Otton, and I've got him at 8. Do I think he's ever going to be a great receiver? No. But there are so many of the things that I have problems with. Like he comes in too high when he's blocking.
Mm-hmm.
I can fix that in a week of training camp. Technique's still good. He's very sound. He just has some athletic limitations. Most of the guys behind him are freak athletic and they're not very technical. This guy is very technical and has done everything. Played in the slot, played in line, played outside. I really like this kid. This is another one. I keep seeing Derek Deese in front of him, and I can't for the life of me figure out how anybody sees that. Again, not every person sees tape the same way. If you have Derek Deese ahead of Cade Otton, you're very good at this.
You're not.
Not saying he won't be in time.
Right.
If I had to play one of them in an NFL game next year, it's Cade Otton 105 times out of 100. No doubt.
At number 7 on the board, just a reminder as well, the colors mean nothing. Those are just guys that Jeremy really likes.
I'm higher on than, or I'm hearing things on, or whatever the case may be.
Right.
Just guys we want to highlight.
At number 7, it's Jake Ferguson out of Wisconsin. There was a lot of people just raving about him after the Senior Bowl.
Senior Bowl. He had a great Senior Bowl week. It's another kid that's not really athletic. He kind of falls into the same trap that every Wisconsin player falls into. You are really big. You are not very athletic. My fear with Jake Ferguson is I could see him running one of those times that you go, or are you going to play offensive tackle? Like, I could see him running a 4.88, 4.92, somewhere in there. But he's got really soft hands. This is the kid, and I said this about another player earlier. I could see him falling into a Mark Andrews role because he has such good hands. And he's a good route runner. Just everything you really want from it. I'll tell you who he reminds me of. Now that and I didn't think about this beforehand. He reminds me of Mike Gesicki.
Okay.
He could be that kind of tight end, and I think he's really ready-made to come in this league. If you told me he was the most productive rookie tight end next year, I wouldn't be shocked in the least, especially depending on where he goes. Looking for a scheme fit for him, I would really like him in New Orleans. Because the Adam Troutman thing, he needs somebody on the other side. The problem with, and I loved Troutman coming out of Dayton, the quarterback situation is going to be a bitch. So you need somebody like this that he's going to be where he's supposed to be all the time. There are no mental mistakes with this kid. He's really fucking smart. We were talking earlier about I could build a team of guys that the number one takeaway is going to be, good God, that guy is smart as shit.
Right.
There's 2 of them in his class. This is the first one. The next one you won't see for a minute.
All right.
And their games could not be more different if they tried.
All right. Next up, at number 6, you got Jeremy Ruckert out of Ohio State, 6'5", 250.
This is so much projection because the production at Ohio State was just not there. I think the most catches he ever had in a year was 26 or something like that. Didn't get a ton of targets, but he's got really good hands. He's super raw. I never saw that next level. He's not an overwhelming athlete. I mean, I think he's fine. He's going to run faster than Jake Ferguson. The only problem is that he's not a very good route runner. Still got the good hands, but he's not a great blocker either. So I really just don't know where he fits. Now, that being said, the raw workable tools, tight ends are one of the hardest projections of any position because any team that takes a tight end in the draft outside of 3 in this class, you know that this is 2 to 3 years down the road. Because if you chuck these guys in the lineup now, it's not going to end well for you. I think the exception to that would probably be Otten or Ferguson.
Mm-hmm.
Ruckert is a guy, and I don't ask me why I'm stuck on this, but him on the other side of C.J. Uzomah with the Cincinnati Bengals, I can't get away from that. Because Uzomah's that, like, Swiss Army knife. That's not what Ruckert is. Ruckert is the, hey, I need 5 yards. Cool, he'll go get you 6. And I think he can be that pretty quick. Just, he's going to need a lot of technical work. But that's how I've always felt about Ohio State tight ends. It's like they recruit these high-end guys, and then they just go, you go figure it the fuck out.
Right.
We work on receivers, and our receivers are technicians.
Right.
And you are going to get no instruction whatsoever. And that's kind of how I feel about Jeremy Ruckert.
No instruction or just no usage? Because as you said, I mean, this guy had 51 catches in his entire career at Ohio State.
Yeah, and half of those were this year. So I just I never saw that improvement. All right, so over time, yeah, he caught more balls this year, but it's not like he was working himself open or this is just one of those kids that I think he's a grinder. He does, from everything I've heard, he works really, really hard. Mm-hmm. And one thing that I liked is that his average at the catch was pretty high. The only problem is that I run into the same problem with him that I have with Olave and Garrett Wilson. A lot of the few great catches he had were on totally broken plays.
Right. Where he was just schemed open or the coverage blew it.
You can't defend that long.
Right.
They didn't run this offense through him at all. Not the greatest release I've ever seen, but it's not as bad as people will ding him for. I just think he was a product of the offense. They didn't ask him to do these things. Guy in the comments asked, what round for Cade Otton? I would say 4th. I would say basically, let me flash the board back up here, and I'll say this for every one of these guys. Okonkwo, I would say, is somewhere in that 5-6 range. Mm-hmm. Same with Derek Deason, Jelani Woods. Calcaterra gets into the higher side of the 5. Cole Turner, Otten, Ferguson, Ruckert. Then the next 2 are in that. They could go as high as the 3. I don't see them falling past mid-5. And that's the thing. This is going to be one of those years. Usually we go late 3, early 4. This year's going to be late 3, early 5 because there's just such a wide variance. I'm hoping the combine's going to make that a little more uniform.
Well, let's talk about the number 5 guy on the list, Charlie Kolar from Iowa State.
I absolutely love this kid, and I put so much of this on Brock Purdy. And I know I probably shouldn't. Charlie Kolar's a really big kid. He's 6'6", 260, got unbelievably good hands. Yes, there were some drops. I'm well aware of that. Not a great athlete. Never going to be – I'm going to say something, and it's going to piss people off. If you told me one guy in this class became Rob Gronkowski, it's Charlie Kolar. That's why I couldn't get away from him going to Tampa. Every freaking time I've done a mock draft, Tampa's wound up with Charlie Kolar.
I love this kid.
I do. I just really like him. He
I
doesn't
would love to
give
see him
you.
Up there.
He's so thin that I don't think he's ever going to be a great blocker, but I think he's better than people write him off to be. He's written off to be just a liability that played in his. No, that's not true. And he played in the slot. He's got a lot of versatility. And he's smart as hell. And he's not even the one I was talking about. There are a lot of tight ends in this class that are really bright.
Oh, didn't he have didn't he major in like nuclear fission or something?
Stupid like that.
Yeah, ridiculous. This was the kid that had the story about he flipped a coin whether or not to come back to school, right?
Yeah.
He just should I go into the draft or should I come back to school?
The coin lied to you. You should have come out last year.
He should have came out last year.
Well, because now the problem with guys like Charlie Kolar is that they've been the same. There was never an improvement. I would say the same thing about Charlie Kolar that I said about Brock Purdy.
Okay.
You were as good 3 years ago as you are right now. I think that's a Matt Campbell problem, which is one of the reasons that I like Brock Purdy better than most. As a quarterback prospect, I like Charlie Kolar better than most too.
At number 4, top 25, or top 25, top 13.
Top 25 would have been very difficult.
It would have been hard. The top 13 tight ends for the 2022 NFL draft class. Number 4, Greg Dulcich from UCLA. You said this guy could be in that third round range. I think that would be an absolute steal because this kid, I mean, I'm not the tight end whisperer, and I look at tape of this kid and go, he is incredible.
He is, but he's very scheme dependent.
Okay.
I compared him in that Mark Andrews role of a guy that you see the flashes, and I don't think you were used the right way in college because he does not fit that Chip Kelly offense at all. He just doesn't because Chip Kelly asked tight ends to do weird shit. And at 6'4", 250, frame's always going to limit him because he's one of the things about him is that he's very shifty for somebody that's that big. Mm-hmm. He's not a great route runner, and I don't know that he ever will be, and I don't think he's ever going to be a very good blocker. What I do think he can be is a year from now. I think he can come in and be your 2 right away. But I think a year from now, this could be the number 1 tight end on a team. He could have a very Dalton Schultz-y kind of trajectory where the first 2 years in the league, yeah, he plays, and you hear the name, and he'll have a good game every now and then. And then in like year 3, he is Mighty Mouse. Right. Here he comes to save the day. I am drunk in love with this kid. Another one, great head of lettuce. Half the fucking tight ends in this class have great hair. I know that sounds weird.
It does sound weird.
Well, here's the thing. There's a very large picture of every one of these guys on the draft profile that I did that pops up on my computer. I like Greg Dulcich a lot. A lot. And I think he could. Don't quote me on this because I don't do speed particularly well. I think he's going to run faster than people think. He's one that I could see running like a 4.55 and people going, son of a bitch. Mm-hmm. And then now all of a sudden he's a second rounder. That scares me a little bit because he does need some refining. But I like this kid so much.
Yeah, he did look very, very, very athletic. And I think you said it, shifty.
Yeah.
In that tight end role at UCLA.
He's the opposite of George Kittle. He's not a yak guy. He's going to get what's thrown to him. Mm-hmm. Even though he is shifty in the open field, he didn't break a ton of tackles. And I don't think he's ever going to because he's very high-framed. And that tends to lead to guys that it hits them in the hands and then they fall down.
Yep. John DeLon agrees, by the way, in the comments. It's a little weird. Don't stop talking about dude's hairs. It's weird.
Look, when you get judged for your hair as much as I do, game respects game.
All right, if you pay any attention to the 2022 NFL draft class, you should know who the top 3 of this list are. The order, though, may surprise you. It surprised me a couple of times when we got this far on the top 13s that we do every Tuesday here. So top 3 tight ends as chosen by Flowstradamus, the tight end whisperer.
The next one, the Senior Bowl, bumped him up several spots. Isaiah Likely.
Yeah, Isaiah Likely out of Coastal Carolina.
The scheme becomes a bit of a problem because I don't know. He's going to need to add a little bit of bulk. But this is the one I was talking about, the smart as fuck. Isaiah Likely is one of those guys that he makes that play. And he did it in the Senior Bowl. All right, so it was on a scramble of Sam Howell. He has virtually nothing to do with this play. And throws a cutback block that springs Sam Howell, and now he's dancing in the end zone. He did that a lot at Coastal Carolina. My problem is that he's not as freak athletic as people think he is. And I don't know that when he bulks up, I could see him being a little clunky. But I do think he has the upside to be the best blocker in this class. And I think he will be. And I think he will be pretty quick. I like him a lot. I cannot wait to see this kid run the 40. If he runs a 40 at 4.6 at 240, okay, now we're talking about second round pick.
Right.
My fear is that he's going to run at like 4.8. And teams are already going to be thinking you need to add a little bulk anyway to play the way that you do.
Right. And now you've ran a little slower time at a
now
lower
you're slower
weight.
than I thought you were. And that could be that could be a problem. He has good hands. And he just gets open. Mm-hmm. There were a lot of times it was just, how in the hell did he get that open? And it wasn't even necessarily he ran such a great route. He just found a soft spot and exploited it.
And how much does that lend to the fact that he played in the Sun Belt?
Level of competition is always a problem. It just is, especially with tight ends, because as I said, this is one of the hardest positions to get from point A to point B. High-end college player to high-end NFL player. I hope a team doesn't overdraft him because he's rawer than you would want him to be. But if you put the time in, if there's a kid in this class that can be George Kittle, it's Isaiah Likely.
Really? That's very, very high praise.
The problem is that his floor is so much lower than the other two. The two that are in front of him have exponentially higher floors. But one of them has a ceiling that I think is as high. The other one, I don't think his ceiling is as high, but his floor is way higher.
All right, you want to mention something about his head of lettuce as well? Or
It's fine. It's good too.
It's good. It's good too.
It's good too.
All right, he's got a good head of hair.
It's not as high end as some of the other guys, but
all right, let's get to number 2. Jalen Wydermyer, Texas A&M. He's number 1 for a lot of people.
Yeah, and here's the part I don't get. I don't understand why. I don't understand why. He's not a good blocker at all. 6'5", 255. I think he runs about a mid 4.6. He's a stupidly good athlete. I mean, gets into that, holy God, how do you move like that at that size? The only problem is that he blocks like he's half the size that he is. And his hands are seriously inconsistent. If he ever figures out how to catch, though, consistently, in my report on him, alligator arms is underlined 3 times.
Oh, wow.
Because there were a lot of times that he would get open across the middle and he saw the hit coming and he didn't want to take it. That does make me a little nervous because that tends to not get better in the NFL. Now, he was a receiver, and he's built like a receiver. I don't love Jimbo Fisher as a coach, and I never have. And that's coming from somebody that watched him win my team a national title. I could easily see a path that there is just a treasure trove of raw in Jalen Wydermyer that he could ultimately be the best tight end in this class and not be all that close.
Okay.
The reason he's not my number 1 is because I don't necessarily think he should come in and be an immediate 3-down tight end. I think if you put him on the end of the line now and you expect, even if you put him in the line, in the slot as a move, whatever the case may be, I think he's so bad as a blocker. He's so raw as a blocker that I think it's going to disappoint you. The raw in him is just unfreaking real. There's tape on him that's nobody should be able to run like that. Nobody should be able to move like that. The hands get more consistent, and he develops as a blocker. He's got Kyle Pitts level catch radius.
That was the thing that I saw out of Jalen Wydermyer that made me go, holy shit. I mean, you just get it close to him, and he's going to bring it down. I mean, in the end zone, forget about it. They ain't nobody in college football was going to hang with this kid.
No, and that's the thing is that there's so much raw and there's so much to like. It's not as close to a refined. I keep seeing him back in the first round. I don't like it.
Yeah.
Like I keep seeing him to Tennessee. Please don't do that. Please, for the love of God, don't do that because it's not going to go the way you think it will. You run the ball entirely too much to count on this guy to be a down-in, down-out tight end. All right, and Anthony Ferguson was not good enough to be the other tight end in that room. It doesn't work. It doesn't make sense. If you're going to take a tight end, and I don't feel the same way about Green Bay. I want them to take Cole Turner. Just don't take him to the beginning of the first. Okay? Jacksonville as a second with Dan Arnold or whoever plays the inline spot, okay, because you can grow with this kid. You're not going to be good anyway. It's not somebody that you're counting on him to be the second or third pass catching option quickly. I feel like in Tennessee he would be the third best option immediately. And every time he dropped one, I feel like he could get turned on. And there's so much raw potential. I do want to see him. I know this sounds weird because I just said I wouldn't mind him in Jacksonville. I would like to see him go to a good team. His draft position will change the grade for me drastically. If he goes to the back end of the second, I'm going to love it. almost invariably, no matter who he goes to.
Mm-hmm.
If he goes to the back end of the first, I'm probably not going to like it as much.
Okay. Just too high. Too high in the first round, too much of a project. Yeah, exactly. They're going to expect him to come in and be immediate.
He's too raw for how high I'm afraid he's going to go.
Okay. You mentioned Tennessee. Funny, I was actually seeing a mock draft earlier today that had this guy going to the Tennessee Titans at the back end of the first round. It's Trey McBride out of Colorado State.
You saw another mock draft that had him going to Tennessee. Hi, this is mine. I love Trey McBride. There's not a lot of ways to attack him. He's another one that if you don't have him as the number one tight end in this class, I'm going to need you to explain that.
Mm-hmm.
Because he's all of the things I just said about Jalen Wydermyer, but I've seen him do it. He's a better blocker right now. Hands down, it's not even close. In spite of the fact he's smaller.
More athletic, better in the red zone, all that kind of stuff. Because I think that's what sets Jalen Wydermyer apart for a lot of people is seeing his receiver ability.
Well, it's because he was a receiver.
Right.
The thing about Trey McBride is that he is more of a rounded, ready to start right now tight end. Is he Kyle Pitts? No. Is he even going back to Kellen Winslow? No. This is a kid that I do believe can come in as a first-round pick, and I don't think he's going to disappoint you. I love him in Tennessee. Because I think he's a good enough deep threat because he's going to run about a 4.6. That you mix that with A.J. Brown and Julio Jones, and now it's going to open run lanes for Derrick Henry, and he's a good enough blocker to set the edge.
Mm-hmm.
The level of competition is what scares me. Year to year, exponential growth. The thing I said about Charlie Kolar I never saw him get better. Trey McBride I saw get better. Year in and year out. If I had to find something to ding him on, he's more straight line fast than he is shifty. But, he's 4.6 fast. And I think he's a legitimate 4.6 fast. One of my favorite tight ends I've ever graded. I'm usually much harder on tight ends than I am any other position.
Mm-hmm.
But this is one of, in 11 years now of doing this, this is one of a handful that I think are legitimate first-round picks and could come in and start right away and it not completely typhoon them. I love this guy. I do. And you know what? I'm not even going to lie. I try to keep my Jet fandom away. Fucking draft him, okay? We haven't had a good tight end in 20 freaking years.
Right.
And I'm damn sick of it, okay? Tight end whisperer, my own team sucks at tight end.
If he even lasts that long.
I don't think he will.
But
if he does, oh, God, if he does, and
He's got what, the third, fourth pick?
I'll say
in the second round?
So many times. God, I'll say fuck so many times.
He'll go at the back end of the first round, and then you get Jalen Wydermyer. How about that? Top end of the second round? No.
I want Trey McBride. That is the one I want. Roy asked in the comments if we're going to do a combine live stream. I'm not averse to that. The only problem is that it's sandwiched right in the middle of our show at times. And then there's, primetime stuff.
The primetime stuff that they move on. 7 o'clock primetime. We could make something work there. It would have to be, I'm just looking here at the schedule. So it all starts on Thursday.
Mm-hmm.
And you got quarterbacks, wide receivers, and tight ends on Thursday.
Mm-hmm.
Then you got running backs, offensive linemen, and special teams on Friday. That one might be Friday night, 7 o'clock, running backs running 40s, or I don't know. I'm open to it.
Well, the thing I remember is we'll be at SoC on Friday.
Oh, that's right. That is SoCon. Yeah, we would not be able to do that on. Yeah. Actually, Thursday would be our only option.
Oh yeah, because
I'll be working all tournament long doing the coverage on.
Let me see if I can work something out with that.
Yeah,
I have.
It may be something.
He's not the only tool in the bag of tricks. Now there is one that I'm specifically thinking of right now that makes me, in terms of nerddom, he makes me look like Johnny Bravo. So that could be fun, where I'm the least nerdy of the two.
No, that's hard to do. I feel like that's hard to do.
John DeLon said he has a friend that's a Rams fan that broke his television when the Rams drafted Lawrence Phillips. He asked if I would break a television. I'm going to level with you. I see videos of that all the time. I've never understood why somebody would punch television. I know what's in there, and I know it can cut you to high holy shit. I mean, I'll hit things.
Right.
There's usually a suck hole attached to it.
I always just feel like those have to be staged.
Oh,
Like
a lot of them are.
Right, like because some of them, I mean, they're completely obvious. Like you see, they still have like a backing to some of the TVs that get destroyed. Like you were going to destroy that anyway. But some of these, like, I don't understand what goes through your mind of just like, yeah, I'll pick up another one of those 78 inchers tomorrow. It'll be fine.
I like my TV too much. Yeah. Guy said, I heard today the Titans may be looking at Gesicki. I've heard that. I don't know how much I love that fit. There's another fit for Mike Gesicki that.
It's the New York Jets. Is that what you're saying?
Nope. I don't want Mike Gesicki in the least. Why would I want Mike Gesicki? The reason I'm saying he should leave Miami is to not play in Kyle Shanahan's offense.
Oh, yeah.
With Mike McDaniel.
Yeah.
Why the fuck would I want him to go play with Mike LaFleur?
That's a good point.
That runs the exact same offense.
Well, yeah, I mean, you made that face like he was like, I want him to come play for my team.
No, it's one of my favorite. So I have the 50 best free agents that I think are going to go elsewhere, and he's one of them. And once I saw it, I couldn't unsee it because it made two other things work. By the way, that almost invariably means it's not going to happen. If it makes that much sense, it never goes that way.
All right, coming up later on in the week here in the Sportsocracy, Jeremy will be throwing his darts out there, seeing who lands where, projecting the free agency holes.
Cincinnati Bengal fans, you will like this a lot. Miami Dolphin fans, you will like this a lot. Jets fans, you may or may not. There's going to be a wide range of emotions based on where I throw the Jets money.
You're doing this realistically, though, right?
Oh, God, yeah.
Yeah. Like, no, there's no shot we'll make that smart move. We'll definitely do this dumb move, though.
Scheme. It's all about scheme fit. It's all about who knows who. Like, I'll go ahead and give you one that I don't actually see a way this doesn't happen. Casey Hayward ending up with the Indianapolis Colts. Mm-hmm. He's followed Gus Bradley around. Why would he not do it now? It's one of the Indianapolis Colts' biggest needs. He's a one-year rental. Why would you not do that? Makes zero sense for him to go anywhere else. Mm-hmm. Now, I said the same thing when he went to the Raiders, and that just so happened to work. So hopefully he is as predictable as I think he is.
All right, we'll have franchise predictions.
Nope, already done that.
Yeah, we'll have free agent predictions coming up later on in the week. We'll do another Way Forward Wednesday tomorrow for the happy hour, where we will have this should be our last one.
It is.
This should be the fourth in the series, where we take one team from each division and give you the off-season preview of that team. So this will be the last one of those. Way Forward Wednesday tomorrow. We'll still have Threadbare Thursday. And then on Friday, we're going to have the reveal of the overrated bands bracket.
Yeah, that will be out tonight into tomorrow. I screwed up and put that to be released in 2023. Why is that an option? Like on social media, when I stage all of this shit, why on God's green earth would I schedule it for a year from now? It's so unbelievably stupid.
Yes, it is. But
I originally thought I did it in 2021, so I had to go back.
See, that's what you told me. You told me you had set it for last year, and I went, "How the fuck is that even possible?"
Oh, it's possible.
You can set stuff retroactively for a year ago.
Well, when your computer's
yeah,
maybe not legal. There might be some things on your computer that you're not allowed to have. But then after that, we will be doing, and we haven't come up with what to call this yet, ideal off-season scenarios for every NFL team. It's a combination of the draft and free agency. If we were the GMs of your team, this is what we would do. This is where we'd throw our money. This is where we would throw our first 3 picks of draft capital.
Yep.
That does not come with a 7-round mock draft because I don't get paid that much money. Give you a couple high-end free agents in your first 3 draft picks.
All in all, the overall theme here is keep it locked right here to the Sportsocracy on ESPN Asheville, 3 to 5 every weekday afternoon, and, of course, for the happy hours right here on the YouTube channel. Don't forget to hit that subscribe button. See, everybody has followed along nicely and hit that like. Be sure to share it out with your friends as well. Tell them that we have the best team-by-team coverage throughout the Draftmas season here in the Sportsocracy. I'm Tank Spencer. He's Jeremy Greene. Y'all have a great night, and don't go too overboard with that USFL draft tonight. I know you're going to be deep diving in on it.
I will look at it in the morning to laugh at it and nothing else.
We will see you back here tomorrow at 3 o'clock.